All right, so welcome to session 62 of Tool Time Tuesday, if you can believe that, session 62. Every time we go higher in number, I can't believe it. Leslie and I decided we were going to talk about how to optimize Outlook to get the most out of your Outlook. We get a lot of questions about Outlook, so we thought we would dig into this a little bit. We're going to do this as a two-part series because there's a lot to talk about. So the next tool time as well, we're going to talk a little bit more about like actually managing your inbox. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about personalizing your Outlook. It's me, Larissa from the library, and my colleague Leslie. Also, please ask us questions if you have questions. We're here for you. And you can find everything from the library at mdanderson.org/library. This month is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. We do have a book collection on our Overdrive site. And of course, we have other awesome books and magazines there. But we just want to show that we do have some really good titles there if you want to check it out. We also know that some people are doing some college prep now. It is the time for college prep for the kids. They're not kids, they're almost adults. But we have a couple resources you might be interested in. One is Learning Express. We get this through the library. It has a career center. It has test prep for ACT, SAT, AP, and it's got a ton of other stuff too. It's got some Microsoft Office 365 courses and different things. You do have to set up an account there, but it's free and you don't have to use the VPN to access it. Also, I've had a couple people mention that Bright Horizons offers this college coach option. They have actual college coaches you can talk to, live events, one-on-one guidance, and I've heard it's very, very helpful. So wanted to mention that again if you missed it in the employee notes. Let's talk about Outlook. We're going to talk about how to personalize it because the more Leslie and I talked about it, the more we realized that there is personalization that happens here to make it more efficient to work in it. So we're going to look at this View tab largely today, and you may not play with the View tab that much. Honestly, before Leslie pointed it out to me, I didn't play with it that much, but it's been very helpful. We're going to talk about how to lay out your Outlook, the different panes that are available, and the layout I've marked here in red, and we're going to go into this more. Then we're going to talk about how to arrange your messages. This is the arrangement section. And then we're going to talk about the settings, the more advanced settings that are available to you. It's kind of hard to see I'm going to send these slides out, of course, but the actual titles of these sections, they're kind of small. So I marked them for you, put a little box around them. Let's talk about layout first. So the layout of your inbox can really make a difference in how you're actually reading and viewing your messages. So we want you to be aware that under the View tab, you can change that layout and choose the best one for you. So Leslie and I have completely opposite layouts because we just want to read them and view our emails differently, and that's totally okay. But changing the layout might help you manage your emails and messages a little better. They have this section called Use Tighter Space. This kind of squishes everything down in the preview pane to provide less white space, sorry. Sometimes some people want more white space, some people want less white space. It's something you could test out and see how it looks. Something else to consider is depending on the size of your monitor, you may need a little more space, so that tighter spacing might help you just view more messages at a time or view them more optimally. There's also the folder pane that you can change. You can control that folder pane. Basically, you can turn your favorites on or off there. We're going to look at favorites. And the options section, there's an options sections in the drop-down menu of the folder pane that allows you to arrange the tabs down here at the bottom of your email. You've probably clicked on these a million times. In the bottom left-hand corner of your email inbox, you can arrange the tabs at the bottom any way that you like, and that's under the folder pane. Under the reading pane, which I'm going to show you, as well, you can choose to have that on the right, on the bottom, or off. The default is to have it on the right, so that may be comfortable for you, but you can change it. They also have options under there to allow you to control how you navigate through the reading pane and how Outlook marks items as read. Then there's that to-do bar, which some of you may use a lot and some of you may not use it all, but you can choose what you want to display in the to-do bar. You can display the calendar, tasks, people, one of those, all of those. And you can also just turn it off if you don't want to see all of your to-dos. So the layout in Outlook, this is a screenshot, just to give you some terminology. This is what we were talking about up here. Under the View tab, here's where you can control that layout. Your folder pane is on the left. Your preview pane is here in the middle, and the default is for your reading pane to be on the right. If you want to change that reading pane again, you can move it from here and it can go down to the bottom, and it might provide a different view for you. Here's an example of that. The preview pane is here and the actual reading pane is below here, and I actually cut it off because I wanted to show you the to-do bar. So if you turn the to-do bar, it can show up right over here on the right. You can turn it on, turn it off. You can have it show your calendar events for the day if you want to not just see your to-dos, your favorite people. So you can control that there as well. For the arrangement section here, this is a section that I honestly didn't spend a lot of time on, but through practice, I've found it to be very useful. So again, under that View tab, the arrangement section allows you to manage how you'll lay out the preview pane. So if we go back, this is your preview pane here, the preview of your messages. The message preview section changes the number of lines that show up in your message preview. So again, this could help you save space. You may not need to see a preview of the message. You may just need to see the subject line there or the title. You can group your messages also by these different categories. So date, you can from, to, your actual categories. And these can help you find your messages as well. So if you know you flagged it, you could organize it by flags and those would pop up to the top there. You can also add columns. So the columns that you want to display in the message preview. So if we go back, and I'll show this to you again, these are your columns. So you could change what columns you want to show up here. Keep in mind that those columns may not all show if you have a different layout. So if columns are important to you, you may need to change your layout to see all the columns. And another note is your message preview changes with the size of your Outlook screen. So depending on your Outlook layout and your monitor size, you may not see all those columns. You may need to adjust basically based on what kind of monitor you're using. So to go more in depth, that message preview is this that you see. You can turn it off to kind of squish it down and make it smaller. Like maybe you don't need to see those lines. You can also choose 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines. This may just give you a little bit more space in your inbox and you could play around with that. The grouping messages that I mentioned before, you can select a choice to group your messages. Again, this is an example of by flag status. So if I knew I flagged it, I could just click flag status. They'll pop up to the top and I can view them really quickly. Instead of searching and searching and searching, if you organize them by flags or categories, it can help you sort really quickly. Also, sometimes I click on one of these on accident and then I don't know why it's sorted wrong. So just a reminder that you may have accidentally clicked on one of these and sorted something weirdly, and you can go back and sort by date or from or whatever very easily. These are your columns up here. There's a ton of columns that you can choose from. So this again is extremely personal, but this is going to control the information that's displayed here in your message preview. And again, you're not going to see all your columns unless your display is set up to see all of your columns. Let's see. I can't see my chat box anymore, Leslie. Oh, now I can. Someone asked a question, so let me see what it is. Sorry, I'm having trouble. Okay, so someone said the to-do bar is their favorite. I flag all my emails for follow-up. Yes, sometimes I need to go back and clean them up too. Okay, do you know what role preview plays in our institutional phishing issues? Oh, in terms of clicking it and opening it versus like reading it? It's a good question. Any thoughts, Leslie?
I'm not sure. I thought about this too when they implemented the phishing alarm. I think we need to ask
Okay.
whoever the mail person is,
I
because if your
opening.
Outlook is set to mark as red when you've previewed it, that counts against us, right?
Yes. Yeah, I
So
would think it would. So I will ask that and get back to you guys on it. That's a great question. Yeah, so this person said their department was dinged several times, and maybe this is why. And I've thought about that too, because when you click on the preview, it can mark it as red. Um, it does track. It does track if you've opened it. I don't know if red counts, but let me ask the InfoSec person. He knows me, unfortunately. Okay. He's probably like, when he sees my name, he's like, oh, it's this again. We will ask. Great question. There's also this view settings section. This is where all your advanced settings are. So if you want to go totally advanced, you can go in here. A lot of this is duplicated based on what we've already showed you, but just has more options. There's the columns section, so you can add more columns. There's the group by section to group your mail, sorting how your messages are going to sort. One of the ones that might be really helpful for you in terms of readability is the other settings. You can choose your fonts. So you may need a bigger font or a different font to make it more readable for you. That's something you could play around with. Conditional formatting, we're going to talk about more in the next session, but conditional formatting is another tool you can use to make certain emails stand out for you. And again, you can format your columns. So we just want to make sure that you are aware there's more settings there. And we're going to go into a few of these in the next session. A bonus tip is there's this change view section. Change view will actually allow you to create multiple views in Outlook. And when Leslie told me this, I was like, it's too much. I can't have multiple views. But when I thought about it, depending on what computer you're working on, what monitor, you might have a smaller view and a larger view. It's totally, again, personalized and individualized. So I know some of you use office.com more than the desktop version. Almost all of these options are also available in office.com under view. It's not quite as robust, but it's pretty good. So you can include the message height, the font size, the message rows, how you organize those messages, the reading pane organization, and the message reminders. The other thing, you could do this in the desktop and in office.com. You can change how the messages are grouped. So if you use Gmail or any of those kind of emails, or you use office.com, messages are by default grouped by conversations. So they are sort of mashed together. This drives me insane. I know that it's more readable for some people. As a dyslexic person, no, thank you. You can turn the conversation grouping off, and that might help you read them better. Or you can turn it on in the desktop as well if you prefer that. So that's something else you may want to play around with. And a bonus tip, and I read this again yesterday, that the dark mode, using the dark mode on your screens, including in Outlook, might help reduce eye strain. I actually read an article yesterday about dark circles under your eye, that there is a theory that the blue light from the screen might increase dark circles under the eye. I don't know how much evidence is behind that, but it's very easy to change to a dark mode. Try that out. You can do it both on the desktop version and online as well. And it might make it more readable or reduce that eye strain for you. So let's talk about the organization in Outlook now that we've talked about layout. Again, this is completely personal. You have several organization options, and some of you may have other strategies, but we're going to look at folders, favorites. We're going to talk about archiving versus deleting, flags, and categories. Again, in the next section, we're going to go a little bit more into managing, but in this section, we're going to give you like a high-level overview here. So folders. Folder structures can get out of hand for all of us, I'm going to guess. But just a recommendation for you is to create a structure that works for you, that makes sense to you. If you can't get to your file or your email in 3 clicks, your folder structure may be too deep. So if you're spending a ton of time trying to find the email, that may mean that you need to rethink your folder structure. You could also try creating an actions folder in your inbox where you put things in the actions folder that you know are prioritized and you're going to finish by the end of the day, just to sort of move them to the side and make sure you go back to them. But that's just a process if that's something that makes sense to you. Another reminder for you is if you like to use those sort options that we mentioned earlier, sort by date, from, to, categories, once you move an email to a folder, the sort option, it's not going to work the same way. They won't show up in your inbox. So if you really enjoy the sorting option versus the searching, categories or flags may be a better option for you than a folder. So something to keep in mind. That sort tool will not sort through your file folders unless you go into the file folder to sort. Another bonus we learned, if you delete folders, they stay in your deleted section of your email, I guess forever, I'm not sure, but you have to manually go to the deleted section of your email and remove them, or they just live in deleted forever and ever and ever. Favorites. So the favorites section is really nice because it's right at the top of the folders pane. So you may have folders and folders and mailboxes down here and it gets overwhelming. Your favorites is a section where you could put the folders that you really want to manage and maintain every single day. Anytime you want to add something to your favorites, you can just right click on the folder and add to favorites. And as you can see, you can also right click and remove it from favorites if you decide you don't want it. You can also drag it and drop it. So this is not in alphabetical order. This is in any order you choose for it to be in. So you can drag and drop a folder you want to maintain into your favorites so it's at the top. I like that because down here it's alphabetical and I want to control kind of like the ones that I want to see at the top here. Also, archiving. So we go through, some people never delete anything. I'm sure there are some of you in here. You don't have to admit it, but sometimes we keep everything. Some people delete everything. So it's again, a personal preference, but something to keep in mind to keep your inbox tidy is that you can archive things. So when you delete, obviously it goes to the deleted folder and after 30 days, it gets removed. If you click archive, which is this cute little archive box up here, it'll go into your archive folder. It's still in your email, but it's not sitting in your inbox being annoying and in your face. So maybe this is something you're not sure if you want to delete yet, but you don't need it in your inbox right now. You can just dump it into your archive. Your archive stays until you delete it. It just moves it to the side, so it's kind of out of your line of sight. So if you're not sure if you want to delete it, your archive will live there in perpetuity. Any other thoughts on that, Leslie?
No, although I should try using archive more. So we have two questions. Well, we've got 3 questions.
Okay.
Does archive have a limited duration? And I think the answer is no, that
No.
archive does not. If you place emails in a specified created folder, will it be deleted after 30 days? My understanding is no. Deleted, the 30 days is only for your deleted folders.
Only for deleted.
And the third question is, are items in archive available when searching?
Yes.
And the answer is yes.
Yes. So that's the advantage of the archive is if you don't really want to create this crazy folder structure, or if you don't know if you want to delete it or not, you could just archive it and it's still there. It's not deleted, but it's not in your face. So I don't know if that's the right way. It's not in your face. It's not junking up your inbox. So you might try out the archive. Also, it's really quick to just archive it and it moves it out of the way. So for flags, I feel like probably most everyone has used the flags. These are this is a tool you use to help you prioritize your inbox. They can remind you when things are due. You can sort your email, like we said before, by those flags so that you can quickly find something you've prioritized. If you keep a to-do list, so we've done a previous session on Microsoft To Do. and I do keep a to-do list, your flags are going to show up in the to-do app, and your to-dos are going to show up in your task pane in Outlook. So they're going to sync together, and you'll have one big group of flags. And that's partially why I have so many flags of to-dos. It's a good idea to review your flags regularly, and consider if the item could be filed in a folder or marked as complete or archived or something, because just letting them sit there, it can get pretty crazy, pretty busy. Okay, so let's see. Is there a way to organize what is in the archive? Oh, wait, okay. So if I want it to seem like I only have 1 million emails instead of 1 trillion, I can move to archive. Sure. I'm sorry, I have 1 trillion emails. Is there a way to organize what is in the archive? I'm not sure about organizing in the archive. I have not tried, but we could look. Yes. Okay. So someone else mentioned, I've noticed that we only see emails in any folder inbox for the past 30 days with a desktop client. You can still access them, but the sort feature does not automatically show things past the 30 days. You have to first click on the link to get the rest of the emails. So yes, that is a server issue, not issue, a server setup because we have so many emails. Sometimes you have to click the link, and you've probably all seen it, to search for the rest of the emails that are available there. I forgot what that link says. Do you remember, Leslie?
No, it says something like there's more emails on the server. Click here to see
Yeah.
them or load them.
And that's
Something to that
because
effect.
it's a space issue. There's a space issue for that. Microsoft To Do is an app that you can use either at office.com. You can also download it to your desktop, and it integrates into your Outlook. But I use it separately from Outlook. I can show it to you in just a minute if you'd like. Does anyone else do anything with flags that they want to mention? I just know my flags get out of hand sometimes, so I have to kind of go through them and make sure I'm clearing them regularly. The other thing you can do is create categories to label items. So this makes them stand out. It makes them more searchable. Remember that categories can work for email and for meetings. They can be used in place of folders since they're searchable, and you can use the sort tool. You can start with maybe broad categories. There's only so many colors available in the categories section. So at some point you would have to repeat colors if you had too many categories. So really consider your categories just like your folders. Make them broader if you can. So all of this is about your personal preference. There's no right or wrong way to do this. We really just wanted to try to help people think about maybe how to make their email more functional for them. Find a system that works for you. It has to be a system that you can sustain and manage. Take the time at least once or twice a year to review it and refine it. Don't change it totally every time. I have done that in the past where I'm like, oh, I'm going to change my workflow, and I just confuse myself. So I try to work out something that makes sense for you. You might want to add something or change something once or twice a year, but try to find something that really will help you sort of get comfortable with your inbox and navigate through it easily. Yes. So someone else said they like the flags because it reminds them at a later date. Yes, that's nice that it reminds you that you missed something or that you needed to go back and look at it. Yeah, you can put a time frame on those so that it will remind you at a later date. The to-dos, someone mentioned, we did show to-dos before, but it's a really cool tool. This is the app for the desktop. It's thinking its way through. So for your to-dos, you can have a to-dos for the day. You'll see that I have some stuff in here that are flags from my email, but I have different categories I have set up that I want to go through. I don't want to show all these to you because there's like stuff in here. But that's the To-Do app, and it does sync up with your Outlook. as well. So you should check out Microsoft To Do if you haven't. Any other thoughts on Outlook or what works for you to help organize? The next tool time, which I believe is November 1st, we're going to do Outlook Part 2, and we're going to talk about actions. So ways you can quickly clear your inbox. So I'm going to look up the archive question, organizing it. And then we're also going to look up the InfoSec question about phishing, or we're going to ask. I'm glad you asked that because I thought it, but then I didn't pursue it. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up? Any other tips? Everybody's very quiet today. All right, I will hang around for a couple of minutes. And if you have questions or other things you want us to investigate or comments, things you want to include, please feel free to share that with us here or on the team. Yeah, everybody's trying to rearrange their inbox now.
Or clear all their flags.
Okay, so someone said they didn't see the dark mode option. Let me go back to dark mode. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I think part of that's confusing because it's actually not called dark mode. It's called dark.
Oh, it's
There's
called
black
dark.
and there's gray.
I'm sorry. So
And that's okay.
in the desktop, you can go to file account and they have this office theme and you can choose dark gray.
And I highly recommend it. If you are sensitive to how bright Outlook can be, I switched over to dark gray and I'm just like, this is so much easier on my eyes.
So yeah, someone said, is there a way to highlight people that we're getting emails from? On my iPhone, I can star people that are high importance. Can I do this on my computer? That's where I would use the conditional formatting. Let me see if I can open this. Hold on. I'm going to stop recording and we're going to talk about this next time too, but I don't mind showing it now.